This coffee may or may not be 3 hours old, but I'm still gonna drink it anyway. Welcome or welcome back if you're new. My name is Kristen and you've reached my little corner of the internet. You couldn't already tell from the title of this video, we are going over my March reads. Yeah! I wish I planned my stats out better, but I read 8 books in March, a few fantasies, some romance, and a lit fit. So yeah, I think a good variety in March, which I am thrilled about. Usually it's pretty much straight romance, and I snuck in a literary fiction book in there. So yeah, hopefully this video is not too long and I'm not sitting here talking endlessly about books, but you know, I guess that's why you kind of clicked on this video. So let's do it. I don't know why I'm extending the intro so much. I mean, we're just talking about the books I read in March. All right, let's start. As always, I'm referencing my book journal because I have the brain the size of a peanut, maybe even smaller, and I forget things easily. Even when I loved a book, I forget so much. So yeah, I have my little book journal here, and I just put my ratings and kind of a written review. So it's kind of like my Spark Notes here in my journal. So if I'm going to be referencing this a lot. So, so yeah, let's get right into it. The first book I read in March, I continued the Empyrean series with Iron Flame. I read Fourth Wing last July, I believe. So, yeah, I waited a while to get into this. And did this not come out in 2023? This book came out in 2023. Well, it's not like I could have done anything about it. I hadn't read Fourth Wing at the time yet, so that's okay. In case you've been living under a rock and haven't heard of Fourth Wing follows Violet Sorrengail, who is sent to Dragon College. And her whole life, she thought she was going to be like a scribe, which is kind of basically like a librarian at Dragon College. But her mom is the general and is like, no, you're going to ride dragons. So go do that and don't die. Fourth Wing basically follows Violet and her journey through Dragon College. There's a real name for it. I just don't remember the name of the college. Oh, okay. It's Basgiath War College? Anyway. And it's a romantasy series that MMC Zayden. So hot. Anyway, that's Fourth Wing. The second book is Iron Flame, and it just basically continues Violet's second year through War College, Dragon College. You get what I mean. And yeah, apparently not a lot of people loved this one. It was more political heavy, I will say. I guess I should start with my rating. Duh. I gave it a 4.5 stars. Yeah, I still stand by that. I like that. I really liked this a lot. I feel like the development between Violet and Zayden was so real. I really loved it. I loved the kind of leadership role Violet stepped into in this book. And I feel like everything kind of felt a little bit more high stakes, especially with the cliffhanger we were left with at the end of Fourth Wing, and now the cliffhanger we were left in this book. Onyx Storm better have some questions to answers. What? Questions to answers? That's not correct at all. Onyx Storm better have some answers to questions that are left off at the end of this book, because what the actual F? Yeah, 4.5. I feel like the found family is getting a little bit more developed in this book, so I'm curious to see how Onyx Storm will pan out. I know it's on my TBR cart right now, and I don't think I will pick it up anytime soon, especially since Miss Yaros has not even announced when the next book is coming out yet, so until that happens, this series is taking a serious back burner for me. Okay, next book I read in March. Even more of a, like, I read Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. I gave this also a 4.5. Yes, I gave this 4.5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I don't know what made me go into this book like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I don't really want to hear about Joey any more than I did in Binding and Keeping 13. How dare I say that? Oh my gosh. There's a reading vlog, not a reading vlog, my first cozy bookish vlog, which if you haven't checked out, Go watch it, please. Pretty please. I started reading this book and wow. I ate up every single crumb in this book. I don't know what Miss Chloe Walsh did and what freaking drug she put. Well, they're taking drugs, but that's another story. I don't know what kind of crack cocaine she put into this book, but I feel like for some reason the writing was more elevated in this book with their story than with Johnny and Shannon. I don't know what set that off, but I was just so much more invested in their story than Johnny and Shannon. I think because it's something about a troubled, broken boy that just So if you haven't read Binding and Keeping 13, it follows Joey and Shannon and Joey and Shannon. Oh my gosh, what am I saying today? Am I even ready to be talking right now? Binding and Keeping 13 follows Johnny and Shannon. Johnny is a rugby player at Tommen in Ireland, and Shannon transfers to Tommen and meets Johnny. Joey is Shannon's older brother. Some of the parts in this book take place before the events in Binding and Keeping 13, which I didn't know if I was going to love or not, but I ended up loving it anyway. Usually I'm not a big fan reading about high schoolers and teenagers falling in love, but something about this, the teenage angst in it and Aoife's protectiveness of Joey, Aoife's confidence. Everything in this book I feel like it was done so well. I have Redeeming Six, which is the next book for Joey and Aoife on my April TBR. So I am so excited to continue this story. Because the fact that the next book is 700 pages about them, Chloe, what on earth do you still have to say? I'm nervous and a little bit worried, but 4.5 stars. Definitely read Binding and Keeping 13 just to get to this because, oh my gosh. Next, I read Don't Be in Love by Liana Cincotti. I gave this 3.75 stars. I also gave her other book, Picking Daisies on Sundays, 3.5 stars. These are just cute little comfort romances. So this follows Adelaide, and she is a senior in college, and she gets chosen to go to this special study abroad program for her last year of college in London. So her and her best friend go to London, and they stay with one more girl from the UK. So there's 3 of them living together, and her new UK best friend has a big crush on this micro celebrity. His name is Dorian. And Dorian is the son of a famous director and actress. So rightfully he's famous too. And so Adelaide's roommate has a big crush on him, but Adelaide meets Dorian, doesn't know that it's Dorian, thinks he's cute, obviously. And basically the whole plot of the book follows how Adelaide doesn't know how to tell her best friend that this guy that she has a crush on likes her, but her friend really likes him, even though Dorian's never met Adelaide's best friend. Does that make sense? It's just a cute, light, fluffy romance. You just take it for what it is, and it's nothing serious, I really do like Liana's writing. I think it's, straight to the point. She does have I did tab up some quotes in here that were I thought very lyrically beautiful. I could see her being inspired by Taylor Swift in her writing for sure. So here's a really pretty quote that she wrote. It was like seeing your favorite painting for the first time. This strong urge to feel it, wrap yourself in it, cover every wall in it. She was my favorite painting. So yeah, if you're looking for a cute little rom-com-y book, definitely check out Liana Cincotti's backlist. She only has the 2 books, I believe, but overall, just a cozy, cute, little fluffy read. Also, I was gonna do this. I don't know why I forgot. I was gonna go through every book that I read in March and what prompt I got for my March TBR and why I picked that book. So I'm just gonna quickly run it back. For Iron Flame, it was not picked on my spinning wheel for March. I just read that on its own. It didn't have a prompt with it. For Saving Six, this was a book with a great first sentence, so that is why I picked Saving Six. And then for Don't Be in Love, I got a blue cover, so that is why I picked this book. So next I read Lessons in Chemistry, and the prompt I got for this was a significant other picked. So my boyfriend ended up picking this book because he actually gifted this book to me, and I hadn't picked it up, and obviously he picked this one, so I read it. So in the about 2.5, almost 3 years. Oh no, it's been 3 years. In the 3 years that I started reading in my adult life, I hadn't really picked up any literary fiction books until this guy. So this is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, and I gave this a 4-star. I was so shocked by this and how much I actually enjoyed it. I did actually tab her up just a little bit. There were some beautiful quotes in here that I really enjoy. So yeah, safe to say I was thoroughly surprised because I don't usually pick up literary fiction. The overall premise of the book is kind of basic. It's a woman working in a male-dominated field in the 60s. Like, yeah, obviously we want to see our woman protagonist succeed, and she's trying to make a name for herself through her work ethic and her academic knowledge in chemistry. But if you kind of just look past that basic plot line, you really get to see Elizabeth Zott, who is our main character in this book, and how she works outside of being a chemist. And looking at her outside life, it's actually quite interesting. Like, for example, she's like learning how to do something for the first time, and she doesn't really get how this person is explaining it to her. And then that person is also a chemist, so they explain it to her in like a scientific sense, and she immediately gets it. So I just think it's very interesting to see how she thinks in that perspective, how she always has kind of like a science brain turned on. Even like one of the main plots in this book is cooking and how she's a star on a cooking show. And I love to cook. I think it's one of my favorite like kind of relaxing hobbies that I have, baking and cooking, and how I find it to be just something to keep my brain occupied. But for Elizabeth, she sees it as an equation, a science experiment. She like gets an adrenaline rush from cooking, and I find that so cool to read about. Overall, I really enjoyed Bonnie's writing in this book. I was really taken aback by the constant switch up in POVs. Like, even on a single page, we'll be like reading 4 different POVs on one page, and I actually find it very cool because you get to see kind of everyone's POV in that scene and what they're thinking, because this is told in the third person, obviously. So you kind of get to see what everyone's thinking, and I really actually liked it. It wasn't confusing. It was pretty straightforward. With a literary fiction, I'm always scared like my brain's gonna have to work on overdrive, but I actually enjoyed the thinking I had to do in this book, which sounds so like ridiculous. I'm reading, for God's sakes. Also, there's a dog, so yeah, read it if you haven't already. All right, next book I read. Back in the Elsie Silver cinematic universe, I picked up Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I gave this a 4.25 out of 5. I ate this book up. So this follows Ford Grant, who is a billionaire and suddenly finds out he's a single dad. And he's also the brother of Willa from Heartless in Chestnut Springs, if you didn't know that. And it also follows Rosie, who is escaping city life and is a good like family friend of the Grant family. So she like kind of grew up with Ford and knows who he is, basically. Hello, duh. Yeah, I tabbed a good amount of it. So this is kind of Grumpy Sunshine, kind of hate to love-ish. They have this weird like fiery, angsty, flirtatious banter that's really fun to read. But I think it's safe to say that he's like pretty down bad for Rosie. I honestly missed Elsie's writing so much after finishing Chestnut Springs last year. And I don't know what, like, I think I just needed like a long-winded break from her writing, because I do really love it. Not that it can get repetitive, but yeah, I guess it could get a little bit repetitive. So this was just really refreshing to dive back into after so many months, because I read Hopeless in July or August last year, so it's been a couple months since I've picked up an Elsie Silver book. I think Elsie does a really great job writing couples dynamic and their chemistry and coming up with like a pretty good main conflict as to why the two characters can't be with each other. Her writing just makes sense. Yeah, there wasn't a moment where I wasn't smiling or giggling in this book. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I saw a lot of people didn't like her most recent release, Wild Side, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I have Wild Eyes next, so I'm very excited to continue. I love Ford and Rosie together. I think they're so fun to read about. This was Wild Love. Wasn't on my March TBR, by the way. that's why there's no prompt for this. That's okay. I also didn't have a prompt for this next book. This is Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. This is a new author for me, and I know this was circulating Book Talk for a while, and I'm very late to the game probably reading this book, but that's okay. Also really enjoyed it. I gave this a 4.75. Whoa! Honestly, I think it might have been how short this book was. That's why I didn't get a 5 stars. I could have read 200 more pages about these characters, I think. Yeah, this follows Matt and Grace, and they are college roommates at NYU, and that's how they meet, and they become inseparable best friends, and of course they fall for each other. This takes place in the late 90s to early 2000s, so a book like this could with this plotline could not be done right now, in 2025, with social media and technology. There's no way this plot would succeed at all. So essentially, Matt and Grace, they become best friends, and then their senior year of college, and after they graduate, they don't talk for 15 years. What? That's what I'm saying. You could not do this plot today because of technology was just so different back then, and they were living across the world from each other after they graduated. There's no way that some, they could get in contact with each other, but read the book to find out. Also, Renee writing when she was in Matt's point of view. Oh my gosh, she knows how to write in a man's point of view. There are quotes in here. I literally was crying reading some of these quotes. I think this book truly made me feel things because of how realistic it was. I was reading some of the Goodreads reviews, and people were straight up kind of frustrated with this plot line, but I feel you can only understand this book if you truly read it and understand the situation that's happening here, or if you've gone through a similar experience. The quotes: unmatched, Matt and Gracie, soulmates. And again, I'll say this again, definitely will hit harder if you can relate to this plotline, because oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, the next book I read in March was A Reign of Rose by Kate Golden. This is the last book in the Sacred Stones trilogy. So the TBR prompt for this was set in a fictional town or world, so rightfully I picked a fantasy for this one. I gave this book a solid 4 stars. I think it was a very nice conclusion to this series. It's also Kate Golden's debut series, so I think she did a really nice job with this series. Obviously there's gonna be stuff you can improve on. It's only your first series, but I think she did a really nice job world building, developing characters, executing tropes and plot lines. I think she did a really nice job with this series. So if you haven't heard of the Sacred Stones trilogy, the first book is A Dawn of Onyx, and it follows Arwen, who is kidnapped by the king of the Onyx Kingdom, and basically she is kept to heal the military in that kingdom. It just develops from there a lot. It starts off as enemies to lovers and just develops from there, and every character in here, I formed a close relationship with them, even though they have no idea who I am, and they're also not real. And it hit me in this book how much the MMC Kane, yeah, him, he is so underrated. My guy is criminally attractive. I think Kate did a really nice job keeping the story enticing, especially in this last book. There were really no lulls or dragged on points in the book. I feel like she really kept the pace moving with the plot, which I appreciate. Thank you so much. Yeah, and she really wrapped the series up with just a cute little bow and said, here you go, enjoy it, and that's it. It's not anything life-changing by any means. It's not, Throne of Glass level, boom, bang, whoa, what's going on? There are definitely some moments where I was jaw on the floor, but, am I going to think about this series every day? No. But it's definitely a well-done romantasy, no complaints there. It's, and it's also, give her some slack. It's her first go-around at this, and I think she did a very nice job. And the final book I read in March, The Final Rose. That was not intended at all, by the way. I just realized that connection right now. I wanted to squeeze an 8th book in for March, and this was the shortest book I had, so I read it in one day. Even though on my Goodreads and Fable, I said I started it Saturday. On Goodreads and Fable, think it took me 3 days to read this book. I read it all in one day. Well, I read the first chapter on a Saturday, didn't read it all on Sunday, and then read it all yesterday, March 31st, in one sitting, and I gave it 3 stars. I mean, it's less than 300 pages. Like, what do you expect? And it's about a book based off The Bachelor. Like, yeah, obviously you get what you pay for with this book. Are you kidding me? So basically, this is a forbidden romance book. It follows Sebastian, who is a British hot guy, and he's chosen to be the Bachelor, but in the book it's called The Eligible. Callie? Is that her name? Yeah, I think it's Callie. I got this, by the way, in a Probably Smut book subscription box, so that's why the cover may look different. But yeah, Sebastian and Callie, who is a producer on the show, and she works directly with The Bachelor, so she's around him like a lot and falls in love with him, obviously. So definitely a palate cleanser book, definitely a you get what you pay for kind of idea. I mean, it's exactly what I expected. It's under 300 pages, and it's the whole premise of the book is about a corny reality TV show. So rightfully, this is going to be like a corny, cheesy, fluffy book, you know, like 3 stars. Nothing revolutionary in here. Definitely a palate cleanser. I don't know what more to say about this. It's fine. It felt like I was watching The Bachelor, except he falls in love with a producer, and obviously I'm going to be going like, what the heck are you doing? Because I do that all the time while watching The Bachelor. So yeah, if you like The Bachelor and, you know, want to keep smacking your forehead, then maybe check this one out. And as for the books I did not get to this month that were picked for my March TBR, Under Lock and Key was one of them. Into the Dark, Magnolia Parks was one of them. Whoops. I actually kind of want to reread Magnolia Parks before getting into the Dark, so I'm kind of due for a reread on that series because I haven't read it in 2 years, and I feel an itch coming back to reread that series because I have an itch to rewatch Gossip Girl, so maybe I should read Magnolia Parks instead. And then The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I also didn't read, but now I am more incentivized than ever to read it because Sunrise on the Reaping came out and everyone's saying to read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but I don't really want to because I watched the movie already. I don't know exactly how different it is from the book. I may just end up spark noticing The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. No, you know what? Maybe I'll read it. Actually, no, lie. I also want to reread The Hunger Games because the last time I read The Hunger Games was literally in middle school. I have the new like collector's box set editions of The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay, and The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. You know, pretty books. Maybe I'll pick them up and reread them. So yeah, that is all I have for you today. Comment down below your favorite book that you read in March. I would love to know. Make sure to like and subscribe. My YouTube analytics say that 90% of my viewers are not subscribed. You should probably do that. Subscribe, please. Please, I'm begging you, please. I also reached 250 subscribers today. Wow, thanks. I'm flattered. Yeah, thank you to everyone who's actually been subscribing. I so appreciate that. It means the absolute world to me, and I want to continue to do this for as long as humanly possible. So, yeah, please subscribe and give it a like if you haven't already yet. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in my next video. That would be cool. I don't know what I have planned next, but you know, if you subscribe, then you'll see. So. And follow me on all my socials too. It's all down there. Just open the box. It's not hard. It's just an extra click to see what's in the description box. It's another second of your time. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Hope to see you guys in my next video. All right. Bye.